talking about how to want to be disappointed. And I know it's like counterintuitive to everything you may have heard so far, but I have been speaking to so many clients about this topic of how we're so afraid of being disappointed, or we struggle after having been disappointed and we just don't know what to do about it. And then we just feel like everything is lost, right? So that's why I want to here introduce my philosophy or my approach around disappointment, and maybe that will be useful for you to think about or apply some of it. Um, because I have been talking to so many humanitarians about how, for many of us, humanitarian work has been like a dream come true. We wanted to do that, it was our dream. And then we come start living the dream, and then we get disappointed so many times in so many corners. And then we just feel like everything is lost and we just don't know what to do. We feel like we need to get out of there, or then we feel like we don't know how to get out of there, or many of us just continue working on it, but then feeling like, well, I don't really want to get hurt again, so therefore we just do the max, like the minimum, or we just do the things as required without really putting our hearts and souls to it. And therefore we don't know, I think many of us don't really know what to do with disappointment, basically. And that's why I want to hear talk to you about how in certain situations wanting to be disappointed might be actually a better solution than avoiding being disappointed. And the reason why I say that is because, for me at least, I have like studied disappointment so much in my own life in so many directions. And here is what I have found is that if I keep avoiding disappointment, then I also need to keep avoiding being passionate about something, believing in something, that I need to then become like more bitter or more sarcastic or cynical about things, which I don't want to. At least this is my experience, that when I stop like myself from being disappointment and always trying to like protect myself and doing things just for the sake of doing it, or doing things for the ticking the box but not really going fully in it, then I start becoming this cynical, bitter, this person who just wants to keep complaining about everything and then just not wanting to go in, and then not wanting to commit. And I just realized for myself, at least, that I don't want to be that person. And that's why I have understood, at least from my own experience, that being able to process disappointment is an important skill. And we all need to learn how to do that, if we don't want to just be functioning in the world without caring, just like numbing ourselves or not really believing, but just keep doing it. And that will actually create more disappointment, ironically. So the more we avoid the disappointment, the more we create disappointment in our lives by not really caring, or not keep telling ourselves that we don't really care, or we shouldn't care, or we shouldn't just be so personal about it, or we shouldn't be passionate about it. And then we just keep trying to protect ourselves and then go into a whole different road of um, like creating more disappointment of, like, for instance, I was thinking about, the more I avoided being disappointed at work, for instance, the more I kept like holding myself away and not really creating my passion, or like numbing my passion. And therefore indirectly telling myself that now I'm actually even showing more how I'm disappointed with myself. It's just that I'm not recognizing any of that because I just feel so hurt and disappointed, and I don't know what to do with that part. So that's why I thought that I would describe to you my experience of how I process disappointment, and also what do I do afterwards, right? So um, I have, like, one of the biggest lessons I have learned from like studying disappointment is that I actually want to be disappointed about certain things, because that shows that I care a lot about those things, that I have put all my passion into it, all my commitment into it, all my um, I went all in on this thing, and therefore, if I get disappointed, that just shows that how much I care, and therefore the question then becomes, how can I process it and then decide, do I really want to keep working on this, knowing that there is another way of being disappointed, or do I want to do something about it, right? So the way that I process disappointment is, I have like the sense of when I'm disappointed, the way that it feels to me is like as if like the ink, the bitter or sour ink that went into my veins, and then it just feels so like painful, or in some ways, in some instances it feels even like excruciating type of feeling, or in some ways I feel like I want to just like collapse into myself and then not come out, not go outside, or not do any of this stuff, right? So I just want to like protect myself and cuddle in and just not do anything else. So the way that really feels like as if something that like a venomous type of thing that went into my veins, and now it's all inside. It's like a murky thing that's inside. This is how disappointment feels to me. And it feels like in these parts of my body, and like as if I feel like inside my body was like all flowing like a clear water type of thing flowing inside me, and now the murky thing entered, and it's all like unclear, and this feeling of I want to get rid of it, or I want to do something, or I want to do like take radical actions, but I don't want to do that because I know the consequences of doing things out of disappointment, and I don't want to do that. So that's why the way that I process it is I just stay in it, in those feelings of like murkiness, this pain, this hurt, or sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's just like exhaustion or whatever it is. I just stay in it. And then I just keep doing this type of exhaling, but I just keep being in it. And the way that I think of it is like I'm as if I'm just observing what's happening within me without doing anything about it. And of course, my brain wants to, in that moment, say things like, I'm never going to do this again. This is never again, or I will never do this, or whatever it is. Like my brain wants to like scream and want to do something. And, but I just don't listen to my brain and just stay with what's happening within me in terms of how I'm feeling. All of those, like my veins or my arteria, or I don't know, all of these things are like murky now, and it's all there, and I'm just staying with it. And I just keep being in those emotions or in those feelings and not do anything about it. I just keep doing this sign or this exhaling a lot. And then I know that sometimes it doesn't go away immediately. I just need to allow that to stay there. And then maybe I do other things in the meantime, right? Other tasks. But then I just keep coming to it and then just attending to it without wanting to go away, without telling my brain, like without letting my brain to all the explanations or all the how could I and how could this and all of this. I don't allow that, but rather just keep coming back to my body, coming back to my like internal world. I just keep coming back to it. If I need to close my eyes, I close it as well, but I just keep coming back to it. Ooh. This type of feelings like the exhaling keep happening. At least in my case, I exhale a lot, and I feel like that's my body's way of processing this emotion that's happening. And the way that I know that I have processed this emotion is that I can get back to my whatever I was disappointed about. I can get back to um, being fully in and having my belief and passion back again, that's when I know that I have processed my disappointment. Now, there are also moments where I have been disappointed so much that I have decided to change altogether, right? So that's why I like disappointment for that reason, is that it like clearly shows me um, what I really care about, and do I really want to be disappointed in that setting or not anymore. And one of the ways that I have actually changed is I have changed from being a humanitarian to becoming a coach, is because in that moment when I was so disappointed in one of those instances, I asked myself, do I really see myself in the future fighting for this thing while keep being disappointed about it, right? Is this really fair to myself, to what I'm doing, to the people who are around me who's also expecting me to work in that setting? Is this really fair if I keep being disappointed at every step about this thing? Do I really want to be disappointed again in this setting or not, right? And when I had the answer of no, I don't want to, then I decided to change. So that's why disappointment is also a great feeling for me to then take radical different actions as well if I want to. Asking myself, do I really want to be disappointed or not? Right. And in other areas, I actually do answer myself, yes, I want to be disappointed about this because I'm the person who goes all in and who goes all in with passion, with so much belief in making this work or in making the changes and making this thing. And I want to be disappointed because that shows that I really continue caring about this thing, and therefore I'm not afraid of being disappointed, right? So that's why it's really the question that you want to ask yourself is this something you want to be disappointed about in the future as well or not? Do you really want to like process this disappointment and then decide to change something, or you know that there will be other disappointments along the way but you're okay with it because you care about the person, or you care about the cause, or you care about what you can do in that setting, and therefore you just need to learn how to be disappointed. So um, the the way that I know that I haven't processed my disappointment is when I start having resentment towards that thing, when I keep like reminding this thing again, or when I keep referring back to as if, oh, this thing happened, and then like reminding my hurt feeling about the situation. And in those moments, or another one is like when I feel like I keep feeling powerless about this thing, or when I know that I want to be sarcastic or cynical about this, is I know that I haven't processed my disappointment and I just kept stacking my disappointment over and over. And therefore my like coping mechanism in that moment, because I haven't really processed my disappointment, then I start becoming that cynical person or like sarcastic person who keep making those comments, or I keep like approaching this thing with disbelief of, oh, it's not going to work anyway, why bother, what's the point, right? So these are the instances when I know that I haven't processed my disappointment towards that thing or that context, and therefore I keep making these comments. And therefore in those moments though, it's good that I notice then, and then I decide, do I really want to keep being this person who keep acting out of resentment, keep acting out of anger, keep acting out of sarcasm, or keep acting out of bitterness or powerlessness? Do I really want to be that person, or I want to be that person who says, okay, this thing didn't happen the way I expected to be, and I process all of my feelings. And then once it's finished, then I actually decide what to do about it and how to handle it or how to approach it next time. instead of keep acting out of this powerless position, right? So that's why I really think that when it comes to disappointment, it's one of those emotions that are so strong that it's so important that we process, no matter whether then we want to continue being in that setting or not. It's so important that we process it so that it doesn't keep influencing and making us act out of resentment, out of hurt, out of sarcasm or cynical place, and then just not liking ourselves for doing that either, right? Because those feelings of resentment and powerlessness, I feel like those feelings then come is when we just then keep creating more disappointment, because then we somehow somewhere also know that we're not really doing anything about it, and therefore we're disappointing ourselves in that moment, right? And I don't want to be again be that person who then keep disappointing myself and then keep like telling myself that, oh, I can't really do anything about it, or I can't really move anywhere because this is just how it is, and then just being disappointed in myself. I don't want to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like disappointment needs to be processed every time with every specific situation, instead of carrying it to the next thing and next thing and keep creating other emotions that are not desirable, and therefore keep feeling those, and it's just like the cycle that keeps continuing, and therefore we need to break that cycle. And I think the important lesson that I have really like drawn for myself, as I said, is that disappointment I need to process with every situation, with every like circumstance where I notice it, and then decide what to do afterwards with that disappointment, right? So, for instance, do I want to keep being disappointed but still going for that cause that I want to fight for, or continuing this relationship that I want to be in? Or do I want to change things in that relationship or in that circumstance? And if so, how do I want to do that? And then finishing that conversation with ourselves, right? Or if there is something that we can't do anything about it, right? Like for instance, there are certain systems that we can't really change, or we believe that we can change. In that moment, again, how do I want to approach this thing anymore or in the future? Or do I want to like keep using it against myself, or do I want to do something about it? So that's why I have I have really like learned uh, the areas of my life where I am okay to be disappointed. That also means that I need to make certain changes. I need to make certain changes about myself or about that situation, about that cause, or I want to um, keep being disappointed and keep processing it because the cause is so important to me, and I can't really get to uh, like fighting for that cause or fighting for that thing. In order to keep working on it, disappointment is part of it, and I'm okay being disappointed because at least I know why I'm being disappointed, and I'm going to process through it, and then I keep going and working on that thing that I want to work on, right? So that's really the distinction that I ask you to make. So, and once you make that distinction of uh, if you want to be working on that cause and disappointment is part of it, then you just need to learn how to process that disappointment and then keep working on it and keep restoring your passion, keep restoring your belief, and fully going in and working on it. And if you feel like this disappointment telling you that you need to make a radical change and you need to decide to change yourself or the relationship or the work, then you also know what to do, and you can use disappointment fueling you to then make certain radical changes and then go for something else and then start pursuing that dream, whatever that is. Okay, my dears, I hope that my experience of disappointment and my lessons from it has helped you to decide for yourself, or to um, excuse me, distinguish for yourself what type of disappointment you're having. excuse me, and whether you want to keep being disappointed but still keep going for what you really believe in, or you want to change to something totally different and then start pursuing and going all in. So if you want to work on this, absolutely come coach with me. I would love to help you learn to be disappointed and then also learn to decide what to do afterwards, whether to make the change or keep going for what you really want to go for. Have an amazing week and speak to you very soon. Thank you.